This is Lessons in the Challenges of Leadership, the series that enables managers to achieve the remarkable. Podcast, video, short reads. Conceived, developed and presented by Siebert Neethling.
When you look at a photo or video of Elizabeth Batiashvili, one of the greatest violinists in the world, playing the Sibelius Violin Concerto, what do you see? Like all great performers, she is fully immersed in what she's doing. You see passion, concentration, incredible focus. She is in what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi calls a flow state. You can see it in a John Mayer guitar solo, in a Michael McIntyre comedy show, in a perfectly executed Max Verstappen qualifying lap. I bet you have experienced it. I certainly have. You don't have to be a superstar to be in flow. Flow state is when you are completely focused on an activity, losing your self-awareness in the process and performing at a high level given your own abilities. You achieve flow when you do things that are difficult but not impossible, when performing the task well gives you a deep sense of enjoyment or meaning. It is inherently rewarding. It does not rely on external reinforcement or acknowledgement. Flow captures two of the four concepts I'd like to combine in this episode to give you a slightly different perspective on great performance, yours and the performance of the individuals you lead. None of these four are unique to this series, but I do believe there is something about the combination of these that is especially powerful. The first is implied in the concept of flow, its strengths. For some time now, the notion of strengths and strengths finders has been very popular in positive psychology. I've always loved this analogy. Imagine Roger Federer arrives at the Swiss Institute of Sport as a teenager, and they subject him to a whole lot of evaluations. At the end of it, they give him a report. They say, Roger, you are very good at tennis, but you are terrible at swimming. So we're going to focus on your swimming, which is your weakness. It's absurd, right? And yet we spend so much time in life improving what we're bad at. I once saw a simple drawing to drive home what we should be doing. If a boat has a weakness, some damage above the waterline, a hole in the hull, it is a potential problem, but not so urgent. But if the hole is below the waterline, it is an existential weakness. As a leader, you might have gaps in your abilities that are major threats to your success. Fix those. If you don't understand finance, do a managerial finance course. If you're bad at people management, get coaching. But don't focus only on the weaknesses. A perfectly repaired rowboat is still just a rowboat. But if our little boat has a mast and sails, they turn our dull vessel into something far more exciting. They represent strengths. So fix the existential weaknesses, but work on the strengths. The greatest work I have ever done, the most rewarding, has always been in areas of strength. And becoming better at what I'm good at makes me happy. So performance lesson 1 is improve your strengths, not only your weaknesses. The second concept, also captured in flow, is challenge. Good people thrive on challenge. Do difficult things. What stretches you today will become normal tomorrow, and you will perform at a higher level. The third concept, very popular nowadays, is routine. There are so many quotes and memes about habits and routines, and numerous popular books and podcasts. Now, I had the good fortune to travel to Cuba some years ago and visited the famous Floridita in Havana, where Ernest Hemingway would go for his first of many mojitos well before lunch every day. Here he would regale locals, guests, and visitors for hours. There is a life-size statue at the spot he made his own, but he didn't go to the Floridita until he had written 500 words every day. He would wake up in the morning. Heaven only knows how he could be lucid enough, but he would sit down at his simple desk and tap away at his typewriter until he had reached his target. This is how he created his masterpieces, The Old Man and the Sea and For Whom the Bell Tolls. Routine. Many authors rely on the discipline of routine. Stephen King writes 1,000 words a day, 365 days a year. He describes this habit as a sort of creative sleep. I'm a firm believer in routine and habit. From creative time to admin tasks to exercise, habit removes the need for motivation. And do you remember the strategic habit of the lawyer from episode 2? The fourth concept is incremental gains. Walking to the office the other morning, I saw a bulked up guy with a t-shirt saying 1% better every day. My rational mind calculated that in 69 days he would double in size, because 1% on 1% on 1% compound growth would turn 100 kilograms of muscles into 200 kilograms in just over 2 months, and 300 kilograms halfway through month 4. Of course, it's not what he meant. And he is right about the principle of incremental growth. The example I hear most often is the success of the perennially underperforming British cycling team. Back in 2004, Great Britain won only 2 cycling gold medals, the best performance in 96 years of Olympics. But by the time the next Olympics came around, they quadrupled that to 8 gold medals, and they led the overall cycling medal table, a performance sustained at the Home Olympics in 2012. And the difference? Dave Brailsford. As performance director of British Cycling, he introduced a marginal gains program based on the belief that a large number of small improvements would accumulate and compound to make the team the best in the world. There were improvements in the tyres and the length of the shaft of the seat aimed at small reductions in weight. The ergonomics of the seat was improved, but he also looked at the athletes. Nutrition and training were tweaked. A hand-washing regime was introduced to reduce illness. The massage gel was improved, and most famously, every cyclist travelled with their own pillow to optimize sleep. Improvement upon improvement upon improvement, adding up to significant transformation. And it wasn't a once-off. Brailsford went on to take over the British-based professional Team Sky in 2012. At the time, no Brit had ever won the Tour de France. Under Brailsford, Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome won in 2012, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Like anything in life, this approach has its detractors, but there is no doubt that the aggregation of marginal gains is a very useful approach to performance in many spheres of life. In Brailsford's own words, the whole principle came from the idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improve it by 1%, you will get significant increase if you add them all together. To modify that, if you break down everything you can think of that goes into peak performance in your own fields, and then improve as many of those elements as possible by 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together. It works. We have covered a lot in our 3 episodes on performance. We've discussed the triad of attributes, skills, and motivation. We've done a deep dive into motivation and the more of people. We've analyzed underperformance and used a decision tree to diagnose causes. And now we have covered 4 pillars of exceptional performance: strengths, challenge, habit, and incremental gain. In our upcoming episodes on growth, we will examine situational leadership and the intersect between ability and attitude. We will also look at group performance as opposed to individual performance. See you then.